The stars whispered secrets of ancient civilizations, of empires that had risen and fallen long before the first human ever gazed up at the night sky. Across the galactic expanse, 1,000 species thrived, each with their own history, their own wars, and their own myths. Among them, one legend stood apart, a story passed down through the generations, whispered in darkened chambers and half-forgotten libraries. The humans. A race so destructive, so unrelenting in their conquests, that the elder species had purged all records of their existence. Some claimed they had wiped themselves out in an apocalyptic war. Others believed they had fled beyond the known galaxies, vanishing into the void. And yet, their memory remained, a ghostly warning of what unchecked ambition could unleash. For centuries, the stories faded into obscurity. The great empires dismissed them as mere fables, cautionary tales to frighten fledgling civilizations. After all, if such creatures had ever existed, they were long gone. Until the day the fleet arrived. The dominion of Vral had ruled uncontested for thousands of years. Their empire spanned hundreds of systems, their fleets unmatched, their technology centuries ahead of their rivals. When their deep space sensors picked up an anomaly on the fringes of their territory, they assumed it was some lost colony ship or a band of pirates foolish enough to test their might. They sent a single dreadnought, expecting a swift extermination. The crew of the Vrakash laughed when they saw the primitive vessels, ships of crude metal, shaped by brutal efficiency rather than elegance. They were old, relics of a forgotten era, their hulls scarred from countless battles. The Vryle hailed them with the arrogance of a species that had never known fear. The response came in a language the Dominion had long erased from their archives. "We are humanity. Surrender or be destroyed." The admiral of the Vrakash sneered. It was impossible. The humans were myths, extinct. Yet, as his sensors analyzed the approaching fleet, an uneasy feeling coiled in his gut. These ships, old as they were, moved with precision, their weapons charged, their formations flawless. He dismissed the fear. The Vraal had crushed countless foes before. With a single command, he ordered the annihilation of the human fleet. That was his last mistake. The human ships accelerated, faster than they had any right to. They weaved through incoming fire like wraiths, dodging plasma blasts with eerie precision. Their weapons, outdated by Dominion standards, should have been laughably ineffective, but they weren't. The first Vral ship went dark in seconds, its shields overloaded by a barrage of kinetic slugs. Another erupted in flames as a missile, ancient yet devastating, pierced its core. The dreadnought, the pride of the Dominion fleet, barely had time to send a distress signal before its bridge was torn apart by railgun fire. The battle lasted less than an hour. The humans didn't lose a single ship. Word spread like wildfire. The impossible had happened. The myths were real. The monsters had returned. And they were coming. The Dominion scrambled, sending more ships, larger fleets, entire armadas. It didn't matter. The humans fought like demons, with a brutality and cunning that defied logic. They used tactics the Dominion had never encountered, strategies born from a history of war unlike any other. They didn't seek diplomacy. They didn't ask for terms. They wanted revenge, for crimes forgotten by time, for the sins of the past, for the galaxy that had once tried to erase them. And so, as the stars burned and entire worlds trembled in fear, one message echoed across the cosmos, carried by the wreckage of every Dominion fleet that dared to stand against them. Humanity has returned. The Dominion of Vral, once the undisputed rulers of the galaxy, now found themselves gripped by an unfamiliar and terrifying sensation. Fear. Reports poured in from every corner of their empire, each one worse than the last. Entire fleets had been wiped out, colonies reduced to ashes, and their once unchallenged dominion was crumbling under the relentless onslaught of an enemy they had long dismissed as a myth. At the heart of the dominion, Supreme Chancellor Vakos stood in his grand war chamber, surrounded by his highest-ranking commanders. Holograms flickered before them, each displaying the same grim reality. Human warships striking like phantoms, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. "This is impossible," Admiral Toranek muttered, his mandibles clicking in frustration. "These creatures are relics of the past. Their technology is ancient, their ships crude. How are they winning?" Vakos turned to his intelligence officer, a pale-skinned Vraal named Savelin, whose trembling hands betrayed her fear. "What do we know about them?" he demanded. Savelin hesitated. "Not much. All records of the humans were purged long ago. What little remains suggests that they were resilient, warlike. But this?" She gestured at the destruction before them. "This is beyond anything we could have imagined." "Perhaps they were never truly gone," another general murmured. "Perhaps they have been waiting, watching, preparing for this very moment." The words sent a chill through the room. The idea that humanity had not vanished but had instead been lurking in the void, building their strength, was more terrifying than any war machine. "Enough speculation," Vakos snapped. "How do we stop them?" Silence, because no one had an answer. The war was unlike anything the Dominion had ever faced. They had fought countless enemies before, rebellious planets, rival empires, pirate factions, but those foes had played by the same rules, following the same unspoken laws of engagement. The humans did not. They fought without honor, striking without warning. They refused to negotiate, refused to acknowledge surrender. They targeted the Dominion's supply lines, their shipyards, their fuel reserves. They were waging total war, something the Dominion had never encountered. And worst of all, they seemed to be getting stronger. The first human fleet had been small, but new warships were appearing every day. Where were they coming from? How had they built so many ships in secret? The Dominion's spies had no answers, and that only deepened the terror. And then, humanity did something truly horrifying. They took their first planet. The Dominion had assumed that humans were nothing more than raiders, striking quickly before vanishing. But when the industrial world of Chorus 9 fell, it became